All right, in this video, I am going to show you how to use tape diagrams to solve four problems. We're going to do an early elementary, we're going to do an upper elementary, we're going to do a middle school problem, and then stick around because then we're going to do the challenge at the end. If you really want to, I'll put the links to each of these problems in the comment section, in the description, so you could just jump straight to whatever problem you're interested in. But every Tuesday, I post four problems for you to use tape diagrams to solve, and so I'm going to give you the answer key on this video right here. So let's get started on this. All right, so on this, what we've got is we've got the early elementary. So Alicia had $6 more than Bobby. If Bobby had $10, how much did they have? So what I'm going to do is I always start with Alicia and Bobby. All right, so I'm going to just kind of think about the characters. And I often, although not every time, but start with just giving them each the exact same, I'll just turn off this grid. There you go, the same bar. Okay, and then it says Alicia had $6 more than Bobby. So what does that mean? That means I need to extend Alicia's tape diagram by $6. Then it says if Bobby had $10, so that means this length right here is 10. And because I started with both Alicia and Bobby having the same amount, that means this is also 10. And then it says, how much did they have all together? So how much did they have all together? That's this thing right here. And I can see that 10 plus 10 plus 6 gives me 26. So that is how much money they had all together. All right. And now we're going to go to the upper elementary problem. So it says, at lunch recess, Karen passed out 3 times as many cookies as Vito. So who do we have? We have Karen and we have Vito. And it says Karen passed out 3 times as many cookies as Vito. So if we were to start with each of them having the same bar, now Karen is supposed to have 3 times as many as Vito. So really that means I need to give Karen 2 more chunks. So now we can see that Karen has 3 times as many as Vito. And it says Vito passed out 35 cookies. So I know that this little thing right here is 35, and it says how many did they pass out all together? So oopsies. How many did they pass out all together? So that is going to be right here. How many did they pass out all together? Well, I know each of these is also 35. And so 35 times 4 copies of that is 140 cookies all together. All right, so now we're going to look at the middle school problem. Monica and Naomi had the same amount of money. After Monica spent 25 bucks, so it says Monica and Naomi had the same amount of money. All right, so let's start with Monica, Naomi. They each had the same amount of money. So I'm trying to make my tapes look basically equal to each other. And then it says Monica spent $25, Naomi spent $36. And then at the end of that, Monica had 2 times as much as Naomi. So we know that Monica spent 25, so $25. Okay, so I'm just going to say, okay, there's my $25. Naomi spent more than that, so I'm going to keep going. And it says that at the end, Monica had twice as much as Naomi. So I want to make this white part reflect that. And so, I don't know, right about there. So I can see that this kind of cuts Monica into 2. All right, so now I know that this piece right here is 25. And I know that this piece right here is 36. So using subtraction, 36 minus 25 to get 11, I know that this piece right there is 11. which means this piece is 11, which means this piece is 11. So how much did they each have at first? So that means Monica had 11 plus 11 plus 25, that's 47. And then Naomi had 11 plus 36, and that's 47. So they both had $47 at the start. All right, so now we're going to go to the challenge. Okay, let's see what we could do here, because this is going to be tricky. So it says some contestants take part in a 2-day talent show. In the first day, 20% of the contestants were children. On the second day, there were 204 fewer contestants. There were half the number of children and 30% fewer adults. So the characters in our story is we have children and we have adults. And it says on the first day, 20% of the contestants are children. Okay, so that means 1 unit for the children and then 4 units for the adults, because that makes 20%. Because that makes the children 1 out of 5. So that's your 20%. It says on the second day, there were 204 fewer contestants. So we lost some kids, we lost some adults, and now there's 204 fewer students. There were half the number of children and 30% fewer adults. Okay, so cutting the children in half, boy, that sounds violent, but you get what I mean. That's easy. We're just going to cut that in half. So that's easy. We lost that many kids. Now, how do you reduce by 30% of the adults? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a classic trick. And that classic trick to reduce these 4 units by 30%, I'm just going to cut everything into 10 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 10 pieces in that unit. And then in this next unit, I'm going to cut it into 10 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the way I do it is I just cut it in half. And then I cut each half into 5 pieces. And then cut it in half, and then cut each half into 5 pieces. And then to reduce 30% for the adults, what that means is out of these 10 units right here, the adults, we lose 3 of them. And then out of these 10 units, the adults lose 3 of them. And so for every 10 units, the adults lose 3 of them. So we're going to lose 3 in this first unit, 3 in this first piece, that second piece, 3 in the third piece, and 3 in the fourth piece, which means altogether we're going to lose 12 pieces. So I'm going to say, okay, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So by doing that, I know I lost half the students, and I've lost half the adults. 30% of the adults. And I know that this right here is half the children, 30% of the adults, and I know that that is 204. So now, what does that mean? How do I figure this out? Well, don't forget, I started with this unit and this unit being the same length, remember? Because the children was 20%, so 1 unit, and then we had 4 units down here. They've all been chopped up into smaller units down here, which means we can chop these up into smaller units, and we're going to chop them up into 10 smaller units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there, now all of a sudden, I can see down here is 12 units. And I can see here is 5 units. And so these 17 little baby units is equal to 204, which means each 1 unit is equal to 12. So now I know each of these individual units. This is a 12, this is a 12, this is a 12, this is a 12. All of these babies are 12 units. Everything is 12. So all of these little units is 12. So it says how many adults took part in the talent show on the first day. Well, I have how many units do we have? We had 10 right here, 10 right here, 10 right here, and 10 right here. So we had 40 adult units. Each of those is 12. So that means it's 480 adults were in the talent show on day 1. Holy moly. If you made it this far, folks, make sure you hit the subscribe button, you like it, and I want you to really try and learn how to use tape diagrams as one really powerful tool for solving word problems.